Have you grown tired of those sleepless nights, staring at your phone's screen, waiting for a hey from them, knowing all too well they'll never send it? Have you felt your heart shatter when they shower you with warmth today, only to abandon you in icy silence tomorrow? If you've ever been trapped in that endless push-pull cycle, where hope and disappointment alternately knock you down, this is the crucial moment to stop. By watching this video, you'll not only understand why they behave this way, but you'll also gain the key to ensure that their manipulative game used to control your heart can never work on you again. Imagine this. Every text from them temporarily thaws your soul. Every vanishing act simultaneously freezes your heart. You ask yourself, why? Did I do something wrong? And that question haunts you day after day. But the truth is, push-pull isn't love, it's their defense mechanism. Fear of intimacy disguised as strength. And once you break free from its grip, you'll step into the role of active player rather than dreaming victim. In this video, you'll discover a completely new perspective. You'll see the push-pull pattern as a glitchy track you can instantly switch off. I'll share 3 simple yet supercharged steps so you no longer chase their elusive footsteps, no longer lie awake craving scraps of their attention, and most importantly, you'll protect your own dignity. Don't take your eyes off the screen until you've watched it all, because from the very first minute, you'll feel your inner power awakening. This is your chance to end the agony, to stop being ensnared by emotional mind games, and to reclaim control of your life. If you're ready to break the cycle, hit subscribe and turn on notifications right now, because your journey from victim to empowered player is just beginning. The moment you start recognizing the avoidance push-pull game, when they oscillate between warm closeness and complete disappearance, is precisely when you reclaim control. In the past, every affectionate text warmed your heart. Finally, a real connection. Then moments or hours later, you'd be dropped into icy silence, left to wonder, did I do something wrong? But from this moment on, you refuse to dance to their tune. You are no longer the victim lost in their emotional maze. Imagine holding a script where the lead role is always chasing the supporting character, opening a door of promise in one chapter, slamming it shut in the next. Once you see that the entire script is a distraction, you tear it apart. In the same way, when you realize each tender message is merely bait, and each silence a setup for loneliness, you stop playing the chaser. Control returns when you understand the rule of the game. They push you close, then pull you away, not out of love, but out of fear. You have 2 choices. Keep following the rules or break them. The victim will keep chasing, pleading, and blaming themselves. The empowered player, on the other hand, does not chase. They don't immediately respond to the avoidance withdrawal. They stay calm, smile at the silence, and continue living their life. If the silence stretches on too long, the avoidant loses interest in waiting for your reaction. In this way, you set the rules instead of playing by theirs. In psychology, the mechanism of intermittent reinforcement is known to create addiction. Those fleeting moments of warmth interspersed with prolonged silence keep you hooked, but once you understand this mechanism, you refuse the drug they're offering. You don't allow yourself to become a training ground for their need for control. You stand firm. I refuse to be the stepping stone for your fears. I choose self-love instead. So how do you assert control? First, instead of waiting for their response when they pull away, you proactively adopt this mindset. I have the right to remain silent or engage in activities that matter to me. Don't reply immediately. Don't analyze every text. Instead, use that time for self-care. Read a book, exercise, meet a friend. Each moment you don't text back immediately shows them your independence. Next, set clear boundaries. If I don't get a meaningful response within 48 hours, I will cancel any plans I made regarding you. I will invest my time with people who truly value me. When you follow through, cancel plans. Pause conversations. They scramble, uncertain whether you're still available. This isn't a threat. It's a declaration of respect for your own worth. Finally, maintain your stance. I need a stable, trustworthy relationship. If you can't commit, please be honest. I will not continue this emotional teeter-totter. By speaking this truth, You force them to decide. Either engage transparently or step away. No more room for ambiguity or games. In this moment, the push-pull game loses all power because you have learned the script and decided to tear it apart. You become the rule maker of respect, clarity, and self-sovereignty. From here, you move on to the practical three-step plan to turn this regained power into your daily routine. As you dive deeper into recognizing the avoidance manipulative tactics, the very first pattern to grasp is the push-pull cycle, the relentless warmth, then withdrawal strategy they deploy, either unconsciously or by design, to maintain control over the relationship. Picture this. You receive a tender text, an unexpected call, or a heartfelt invitation, and your heart soars. Finally, they care. Yet within hours or even minutes, you're plunged into silence. No replies, no calls, just ghosting or cold. Shoulder treatment. This behavior repeats endlessly. A cycle of warmth, distance, closeness, withdrawal. During the warm phase, they drip feed you emotional reassurance stories of their day, shared laughter, or attentive listening enough to make you feel safe and invested. You respond in kind, pouring ever more attention and energy into the budding connection. Then, without warning, they vanish, texts go unanswered, calls go straight to voicemail, plans evaporate. The longer their silence drags on, the more you spiral into self-doubt. Did I say something wrong? Am I too clingy? Why are they avoiding me? This uncertainty gnaws at you, eroding your self-esteem. Each wave of hope is met by a tide of disappointment, forming an emotional roller coaster that leaves you feeling worthless unless they're present. This is the classic carrot and stick emotional manipulation. The carrot of intermittent affection entices you. The stick of prolonged silence punishes you. Neurologically, this triggers pulses of dopamine and adrenaline chemicals linked to craving and anticipation. When they suddenly pull away, your brain experiences a dopamine deficit, leading to stress, anxiety, and an obsessive drive to regain that fleeting warmth. Behavioral psychology identifies this as intermittent reinforcement, an unpredictable reward schedule proven to create addictive behaviors. Like a slot machine's random payouts, the avoidance inconsistent emotional rewards hook you. You chase each random burst of affection, ignoring the long stretches of neglect, hoping the next interaction will be the one that sticks. Over time, your self-worth erodes. You accept crumbs of attention, trade your precious time and emotions for fleeting moments of connection, and begin to define your value by their presence or absence. Instead of feeling confident and secure, you oscillate between euphoria and despair, an emotional addict wholly dependent on their unpredictable validation. But you are not destined to be a pawn in their game. Once you clearly identify the push-pull pattern, recognizing each warm gesture as bait and every silence as part of the script, you can break the cycle. You no longer automatically text back or anxiously wait. Instead, you choose to stop playing. No more chasing, no more pleading, no more waiting. By holding your silence when they withdraw, you force them to confront the void they've created rather than drowning in it yourself. As you detox from the carrot and stick trap, stability returns, your self-confidence rebounds, your emotions stabilize, and you begin to rebuild your self-worth on your own terms, no longer tethered to their approval. From this point, you're ready for the next phase, decoding the psychological roots of the avoidant push-pull behavior to understand precisely why they're caught in this pattern and how you can fully liberate yourself from its grip. Once you've endured the painful push-pull cycle and recognize how their warmth is bait for withdrawal, the next step is to decode the psychological root of this behavior. The essence of the avoidance push-pull lies in their fear of intimacy. Every time they push you in, they seek a sense of safety. But once you get too close, their internal alarm rings, closeness equals danger, and they instinctively pull away to self-protect. From the perspective of attachment theory, individuals who experienced inconsistent or unresponsive caregiving in childhood often develop an avoidant attachment style. For them, intimacy equates to loss of autonomy and increased risk of hurt. Thus, They resort to psychological self-defense by maintaining distance. When they feel secure, when you're close enough not to pose a threat, they abruptly retreat, closing the emotional door to avoid dependency and latent fear. At the neurological level, research by Mikulincer and Shaver indicates that intimate interactions can trigger stress responses, releasing cortisol and adrenaline, creating an internal panic. This is akin to a survival alert. When intimacy crosses a safety threshold, the brain's flight response kicks in. Push-pull is the external manifestation of that command, pushing to test comfort, pulling to reestablish safety, repeated in cycles to maintain psychological control. Moreover, they may have unconsciously learned this strategy through past relationships where inconsistent feedback, sometimes affectionate, sometimes absent, became their only viable self-protection method. Without a stable attachment model, they replicate this pattern. Dole out just enough affection to keep you engaged, then withdraw enough to avoid dependency, an example of intermittent reinforcement that both shields them from pain and secures control. It's important to note that not all avoidants harbor malicious intent. For many, push-pull is a defensive reflex. They aren't deliberately hurting you, but rather attempting to heal old wounds by preserving a safe distance. Yet regardless of motive, the outcome is the same. You become entangled in emotional whiplash and begin to blame yourself. Understanding this psychological root frees you from the question, why do they treat me this way? And dispels self-blame. Instead, you can view their behavior as a reflection of past trauma, acknowledging their self-protection without consenting to victimhood. You can empathize without condoning. Armed with this insight, the decisive next move is to stop playing the push-pull game. Don't chase when they retreat. Maintain clear boundaries when they draw near. And use distance as a tool to affirm your worth. Once they realize this distance isn't endless, their push-pull loses effectiveness. Not only do you decode why they use this tactic, but you also gain the power to step away from the game and toward healthier, more secure connections where closeness is no longer a source of fear. Having identified and decoded the psychological roots of the push-pull cycle, you now hold the key to taking charge. Here are 3 concrete steps to break free from the push-pull trap. This isn't generic advice, but a precise blueprint to transform you from a victim chasing hope into an empowered player, setting the rhythm of your own relationships. 1. Stop chasing. The first and most crucial action is to refuse the automatic reaction whenever they pull away. When an avoidant goes silent, your instinct might urge you to send another message, call them until they respond. Yet this behavior only fuels their game. Step back. Don't reply twice to a text. Don't call repeatedly. Don't send pleading emails. This isn't abandonment, but boundary setting that protects your dignity in exchange for attention. Each time they return, respond calmly, but don't reignite old emotional patterns. By doing so, you dismantle the chase panic reflex, forcing them to wonder if they still hold the same power over you. 2. Give space on your terms. When they retreat, resist panic. Instead, stay calm and use the silence for your own benefit. This isn't absolute silence, but sovereign silence. Schedule a workout, read a book, meet friends, or care for your pet, any activity that reminds you of your self-worth and joy outside the relationship. This sends a powerful message that you refuse to follow their script. You live by your own rhythm. Simultaneously, your conditional distance becomes an observation period. If they truly value you, they'll make the effort to reconnect. If not, their silence is the most conclusive answer. 3. Protect your dignity. Throughout this process, resolutely refuse the crumbs of affection, empty promises, half-hearted comforting texts, or fleeting meetups. Remember the value of your time and emotion. They deserve investment from someone committed for the long term. Before accepting any sudden bursts of attention, ask yourself, is this a genuine opportunity or just crumbs? If it's temporary, decline so you won't be drawn back into old patterns. Upholding your dignity means you don't accept half apologies or "I'm busy" excuses without follow-through. Politely refuse or set clear terms. If you really care, show me a concrete plan. End 1. By practicing these 3 steps in concert, you'll discover extraordinary power. The push-pull cycle collapses. Once they can't trigger your chase panic response, you regain your confidence and inner peace, and they're forced to confront the void they've created. Your next phase isn't waiting for a safe relationship to emerge. It's setting your own standards, only accepting true mutual respect, clear commitment, and genuine connection. When you stop playing by the avoidance push-pull script, that is the moment the power shifts. Previously, you would react to their every move, rushing to respond when they drew near and anxiously texting when they disappeared. Now, you break that cycle by stepping out of the emotional tug-of-war. You no longer dance to their push-pull rhythm. When they withdraw, you don't chase. When they get close, you don't immediately give everything away. Imagine a competitive game where one player suddenly drops their weapon and simply observes, leaving the other bewildered. That is exactly how they feel when you cease to chase. Your newfound power does not come from loud retaliation, but from calm consistency. Every time they message, you take a moment before replying, asking yourself, is this different from before? Or simply scroll past without giving a read receipt. You communicate that silence is not weakness, but a declaration that you have your own life and won't be waiting endlessly. When you embody this, they can no longer leverage your insecurity to feel in control. As the power shifts, they become the ones at a loss. They wonder, why don't they chase anymore? Why do I feel something's missing? Have I lost my grip? Typically, an avoidant might test you again, sending more messages, proposing spontaneous meetups, or citing an urgent emergency. But you no longer revert to old patterns. They are taken aback when they fail to trigger your anxious response. It's like a thief breaking into an empty house. There's nothing to steal because you've protected your dignity and autonomy. True power comes not from forcing their hand or deploying new manipulations, but from choosing your responses. You decide when to reply, how to reply, and even if you'll reply at all. When they attempt a one-off warm surge, for instance, a lengthy, heartfelt text, you might respond with a single practical sentence. Thanks, I'm busy. They may be surprised, but you won't panic or fear loss. Once you maintain this stance, you'll notice your confidence skyrockets. Where their silence once dealt a blow to your self-esteem, now it carries no weight because you've shifted your focus to personal growth, happiness, and healthier relationships. You realize self-worth isn't measured by message counts or dates, but by how you treat yourself every day. Remember, once you shift the power, don't rush back into their game. Push-pull only works if you play along. When you stop reacting to the anxiety they provoke, the cycle collapses. You won't need apologies or explanations from them because you're no longer trapped in the game. Maintaining calm, self-mastery, and self-respect not only befuddles them, but also confirms where real power resides in your hands. You are the one writing the rules of your life. From here, you're ready for the next step. Building secure, transparent relationships, free from push-pull dynamics, founded instead on mutual respect and genuine commitment. And that completes the journey from being a victim caught in the push-pull to becoming an empowered player in control of your own emotional landscape. You've mapped out the push-pull pattern, decoded the closeness equals danger, fear at its core, practiced 3 steps to break the cycle, and shifted the power back to yourself. Now, each time they try to dial warmth up or mute you with silence, you choose to respond on your own terms. Calm, consistent, and self-respect. Remember, your power does not hinge on their presence or absence, but on your ability to uphold boundaries and prioritize self-love by stopping the chase, granting distance on your own terms, and protecting your dignity. You not only end their game, but open the door to genuine, transparent, and secure connections. Ask yourself, which step will you take today? Will you ignore that unnecessary call, carve out time for your own joy, or set a clear boundary around those half-hearted messages? Act now, because every small decision builds the life you truly deserve. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you found this guide helpful, please share it to empower others still lost in push-pull dynamics. And stay tuned for the next chapter, where we'll explore how to cultivate a secure attachment style, and lasting happiness.